Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for frame rate is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This episode of Frame Rate is brought to you by Ford, featuring available sync with My Ford Touch. Sync with My Ford Touch gets you to your destination with integrated turn-by-turn directions and directional arrows displayed on screen. Check it out in the new 2012 Ford Focus and at Ford.com/technology. And by Netflix. Watch thousands of TV episodes and movies on your PC, Mac, iPad, iPhone, or TV instantly, all streamed directly to you, saving you time, money, and hassle. For your free 30-day trial, go to netflix.com/twit.
Once a simple toy maker. Betrayed by the one he loved.
Thanks for the help, Mrs. Claus.
That's X, Mrs. Claus.
I bet it is.
He was left for dead. But they underestimated the power of the Christmas spirit.
It's time for payback, Chris. You need to make them hurt.
How? I don't even know who they are.
I've made a list, and they've all been naughty.
I'll check it twice.
He must be stopped! Santa's gone rogue! Ho, ho, ho! Chris, wait!
This year, Santa decks the out of your halls in. Santa Claus is coming to town. Mother.
It's the last Frame Rate of 2011 before we all die in 2012. Welcome to Frame Rate, episode 57. I'm Tom Merritt. Brian Brushwood can't speak.
Sorry.
In the new year.
Hello.
Oh, now you can. Now you can. I thought you'd lost your voice at Christmas.
I lost my voice when I was dressed as an elf, doing that evil elf voice.
Was that you?
That's me, bro.
Oh my gosh! With the curly locks, I didn't recognize you. Yeah.
Wait for it. Wait
But they
for it.
underestimated the power of the Christmas spirit.
Oh, so you're the Christmas spirit.
Nope. Yep.
Time for payback, Chris. You need to make them hurt.
How? I don't even know who they are.
I've made a list, and they've all been naughty.
Several people, I pointed out that I'm dressed as an elf in this week's Film Riot, and they're all like, I didn't see you in it. And they can't accept that was me, the vengeful elf.
That was freaking brilliant. This is my favorite version of Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Of course, we are doing a special edition of Frame Rate that, was recorded earlier. If you're watching it.
You got to frame it correctly. Guys, we wrapped you a present. The man said no frame rates during Christmas week. And we're like, no, we must bring them the frames and all rated up in a tied bow. So this is our gift to you. Merry Christmas.
Right. It doesn't matter if it's a lie or not. That's exactly right. But last week's Frame Rate, right after we were done, they came out with the Hobbit trailer. What is wrong with these people? Do they not pay attention to when we record our show? Anyway.
We'd really appreciate it if all of Hollywood and really the entire world would arrange things properly so that all the news that's going to happen is in our hands before we record Tuesday evenings live.
Because both of our listeners will appreciate it.
Our wives.
Bonnie and Eileen.
Bonnie and Eileen have specifically asked us. Would you get it together?
Okay, well, this is actually a special edition of Frame Rate where we're going to look at the award nominees for the International Academy of Web Television Awards, which, by the way, they need a name. We need to come up with a nickname. We'll talk about that. But before we get into those nominees, we got to take a look at the Hobbit trailer. Come on.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Roll it.
You asked me once if I had told you everything there was to know about my adventures. Well, I can honestly say I have told you the truth. I may not have told you all of it.
Bilbo Baggins. I'm looking for someone to share in an adventure.
I can't just go running off into the blue. I am a Baggins.
Wait!
Of Baggend.
Bilbo, allow me to introduce Fili, Kili, Owen, Lorin, Darlin, Balin, Biffer, Bofer, Bolber, Nori, Ori, and the leader of our company, Thorin Oakenshield.
Far over the misty mountains cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old, the pines were roaring on the height, the winds were moaning in the night, the fire was red, it flaming spread, the trees like torches blazed with light.
I cannot guarantee his safety.
Understood.
Nor will I be responsible for his fate.
You'll have a tale or two to tell when you come back.
Can you promise that I will come back?
No. And if you do, you will not be the same.
My name is Bilbo Baggins.
Bagginses. What is Bagginses? Precious.
I love they put the Lord of the Rings theme right just a tad.
Oh, I didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
The ring, because the ring.
I think that, and weirdly, the complaints I heard about this is that they were trying to epic up the story of The Hobbit and make it more like Lord of the Rings. And you and I were just talking about this before we started recording. My whole thing is The Hobbit was epic. It was an epic book that just is totally overshadowed by the utter epicness, the definition of epicness that was the entire Lord of the Rings story afterwards.
Yeah, and we don't see any effects, right? This is just stuff that looked good enough to put in a trailer a year in advance of the movie coming out. So we don't see smog. We don't see a lot of other things in here. And they're obviously not going to show us all of the funny parts in the Shire before they head off on their adventure. So I think they did the right thing, which is put out a trailer that makes it look seamless to the Lord of the Rings. Like, wow, this looks like it was shot at the same time as Lord of the Rings. It's continuous. I'm terribly excited. I'm sad that I have to wait an entire year.
Let me set this up before I explain how I feel about it. I read The Hobbit and loved it. Totally loved The Hobbit. I started to read Lord of the Rings, and I actually gave up around the time of Tom Bombadil, and it was 8 freaking billion songs about, oh, let me sing another song from Tom Bombadil, and I just lost interest. Then the movies blew me away, and I watched all the movies. Loved the movies. But there are two things. First of all, I think I'm really bummed that The Hobbit, by its very nature, had to come out after Lord of the Rings because number one, The Hobbit is a smaller story, more quaint story than the entire Lord of the Rings things. Number two, I really wonder how they're going to play up the whole a lot of The Hobbit, the book, was about this whole fish out of water, like, you know, what am I doing? I'm a hobbit. Hobbits don't go on adventures. They don't do these things. And when it's the first story, they played it up a lot in the book, and I don't know that they could do that in the movie without seeming disingenuous, since when Frodo got the responsibility of the ring, he's like, whatevs, let's go to Mount Mordor, you know?
No. When Frodo got the responsibility, there was a lot of that, like, wait a minute, but I'm a hobbit. And like, yeah, but you're like your dad, you know, or not your dad, but, you know, you're
your uncle.
You're like your uncle.
Not really as much as was in the Hobbit book. The Hobbit book, it was like every freaking chapter was a passage about how, like, I don't do these things, you know, that kind of. But now my question, I'm predicting that they'll play that down for the Hobbit, because we've already seen a lot of those elements in Lord of the Rings. And then the other thing was, in the original Hobbit, I actually was really annoyed at Lord of the Rings because you can read through all of the Hobbit, and there's nothing nefarious about the ring except for Gollum's obsession with it. Or at least when I read it, I picked up nothing bad.
No, I agree. If they do it right, they'll do it by implication, not by exposition. In The Hobbit, you have Gollum obsessed with keeping it, but that's really the only hint that you have that there's anything extraordinary, other than the fact that it makes him disappear. So right. I think, you know, that shot that they show in the trailer where the ring is in the foreground and you hear a little bit of the music and Gollum saying "Precious," totally consistent with the idea that if you don't know any better, that's just this ring that this guy wants really bad and it's magic. But if you do know better, because of the way it's shot, you're like, oh, yeah, that's trouble coming.
Well, and I hope that they don't affect Bilbo at all, because during all of The Hobbit, Bilbo loves the ring. He's like, this is the coolest thing ever. On, off, on, off.
And he does it at the beginning of Lord of the Rings. He's the same way.
Yeah, it's still a toy. And then they I was really bummed out.
I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that at all. I just don't want him to put any metachlorians or anything in there and burn.
The ring has so many metachlorians, it turns you invisible. So, enthusiasm, you give this trailer a thumbs up?
I'll give it 2 thumbs up.
Oh man, now we got to pay Roger Ebert.
Huh? Oh, right. Okay. I'll get on that while we start the big story.
This just in, the big story.
The International Academy of Web Television, full disclosure, of which I am a member, is holding its awards ceremony at the Consumer Electronics Show January 12th at the Venetian Resort Hotel and Casino. Thursday evening, I think it's 5 p.m., they will award web television its highest honors. They've been doing this for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. I remember the first year that they did it, Brett Rounsaville was up against William Shatner in a nonfiction category. And
betrayed because Shatner's got more juice. But meanwhile, Amtrak was the real story.
But that was the brilliance of IAWTV, is that, you know, somebody like Shatner and somebody like Amtrekker could be in the same category for an award because it's just web video.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, let's stop saying it's just web video. And also, let's point out that you got to take the word web.
Well, let's not say, Tom, because you said it's just web video. That's obviously negative. I say it's just web video, meaning like it's about the video, not about the industry or the money or the star power. It's just about the video. Let's take the web out of it.
Okay, well, that's good. And well, first of all, can we agree that industry something web video, not the stickiest name for an awards presentation?
Yeah, no, International Academy of Web Television, that's the right name for the organization. But yeah, I think they're waiting for it to organically come about, right? Like Oscar was not the official name of the award. It was a name that kind of stuck. So I think it's up to us as the public to come up with the nickname. And the Webbies, obviously, they've already got Webbies, so you can't go that direction.
Well, and the Webbies has certainly done a number on their reputation after the last couple of awards ceremonies.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Oh, did you not hear about this?
No.
I'm pretty sure it was the Webbies, and it was an absolute unmitigated disaster. We're talking like apologies sent out after the fact for how irresponsible. They got a bunch of YouTube stars in the room who all independently thought it would be hilarious. And they built some, like, there was naked streaking. Presenters were in the middle of giving awards, and people stuck their tongues in their ears and full on, like, stuff that would literally get you arrested in other situations. It was, Streamies, that's what it was. Wait, was it the Streamies or the Webbies? I'm looking for the chat room right here.
Oh, that might have been the Streamies. I think I heard something about that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then let's see. Naked
I don't know.
Anyway, point is.
Let's not cast aspersions on other awards, though.
Right, but here's what I wanted to say. Awards are a funny thing because simultaneously, I think they're totally BS. I think they mean nothing. They're usually by people voting for themselves and making themselves feel good.
We understand you're not nominated. Okay.
Hold on, but this goes for all awards, including awards.
No, I actually agree with you.
Like there'll be awards I won where I'm like, oh, I'm happy to have this award, and I'll think, yeah, but actually, I know who was on, and those guys that see me do better at other things. This is probably some kind of gimme thing. Like, I couldn't help but think they're BS. But also, it is so important to legitimize a platform to have these idiotic, self-aggrandizing events like this kind of thing. If new media is going to be taken seriously, it needs to have the trappings of legitimacy, which means awards like this. And so I'm in a this is
the most backhanded way. It's like, the industry really needs to act like a douchebag if they're going to be taken seriously. I don't agree. I think what I like about this, because I hate the same things about awards that you hate, which is they tend to go to the wrong people usually. A lot of times it's just, it engenders as much negativity as positivity. But what I do like particularly about the IAWTV Awards is that you get exposed to a lot of stuff that you don't realize is out there.
Yes, okay, but I'm serious, and you said it like it was a bad thing. You could put my face on a billboard with the quote, "You need to look kind of like a douchebag in order to legitimize web TV," and that's exactly what I perceive award ceremonies to be. In general, they're all self-aggrandizing and douchebag. But that's okay. That's okay.
I don't agree that you need to look like a douchebag to get legitimacy.
If you're giving yourselves awards, you look like douchebags. That's me, but that's my weirdness with awards. But I think they're important, though. They are important.
All right. Well, yeah, it's a circuitous route that you've gotten to, but I think we've ended up at the same place, which is we both hate awards, but we both like these.
Yes, we both hate awards, but we both acknowledge they're important, and especially for new media, because this is not the case where it's television or movies that have been around for freaking forever. This is a new nascent form of media, and it's important that in order to basically you fake it till you make it. And we're in that awkward phase where we're still faking self-importance, but pretty soon we will be important. And
I think there's plenty of people not faking self-importance.
Okay.
Let's be clear. I hope, and I'm just a Pollyanna sometimes, but I hope that, that you can have a ceremony that actually recognizes excellence, the unrecognized excellence, and that you can advance the platform by saying, hey, here's some really great stuff out there that you might not have realized is out there and deserves recognition. That happens in things like the Oscars and even the Emmys when you get to the side categories. It's the big categories that always cause all the negativity and the douchebaggery. But some of those, like documentaries, animation, you get some real cool discoveries. And I still love that about the big award shows. I feel like the IAWTV is almost entirely that. Not that everything that's deserving is in here. It's not. There's cliquishness in every organization, and that's going to happen in this as well. So you'll see some names pop up in that list over and over again that maybe you're like, well, why is that person in there over and over again? So it's not perfect, but it's going to expose you to a bunch of things. Let's get to the exposing.
Okay, all right, and real quick, let's talk about the nature of the way. Wow, were you about to take your shirt off? That was going to be awesome.
Sorry, wrong
You look
camera.
like you were about to just rip off your shirt and start dancing.
Why is we were going to get to the exposing?
Let's talk real quick about how does the voting occur. There is an organization called the International Academy of Web Television, I guess.
Yes, there is, and I am a member. Anybody who produces web television, writes web television, is involved in web television can apply to be a member. There's a membership fee. It's not outrageously high. It's less than $100, but you can become a member, and then once you're a member of the Academy, you will get a note in November saying, hey, if you want to nominate, here's the thing. There's a fee for nomination as well, and that's really meant as much to raise funds for the organization as it is to put a break on just everybody, because anybody can make web television. It means there's so many more possible nominations. So they're like, well, instead of going crazy and just nominating every single thing out there, put a little bit of a fee against it. Then later in November, you get a note saying, okay, the nominees are in, go through and rate them. And they did it really smart this year, which is you didn't have to, as a member, look at every single person who had submitted for a nomination. You just went through and you looked at particular things and said whether you thought they should get a nomination or not. And you could do as many as you wanted. in as many categories as you wanted, but they used a kind of a ranked choice system to determine at the end which got the most votes for nomination and therefore became the nominees.
This is one of those funny things because you can be sour grapes on both sides. It's like, well, on the one hand, oh, I get it. You pay to get in. And
yeah,
you
right.
Pay membership and then you vote. But on the other hand, there are awards like the Podcast Awards, which is all based entirely on vote as many times as you want, once per day, your favorite things. So then, like, literally, those people seriously are giving themselves an award in that they're just having a contest to measure their influence with their listeners or followers. So it's, I mean, it's, and again, this goes back to our weird feeling about awards in general, but it's like, you got to decide, do you want this populist kind of thing where you and your angry masses can give yourself an award, or do you want what the perception of an elitist thing of thoughtful individuals? Maybe it's a relatively a less efficient way to get nominations in, but at least you have people who take their job seriously as a jury to figure out who should be the ones to get the awards.
Right, and then when it goes to now the nominations are out, what's happening now is we can go in as members and vote and say, okay, this is the one, and it's a more straight-ahead vote. This is the one that I think should win in every category.
Right.
And again, the idea is the podcast awards that are out there that you've heard of are a people's choice system, which is one way of doing it. This is an industry way of doing it, saying the people who are making web television should be the folks who decide what the best web television is. So this is what the insiders think, and this is the people's choice. They both have their values.
And let's face it, when you look at the Oscars, you know, you see these movies that made only $10 million at the box office, but the reason that they're up there is because the people who make movies, these are the movies that those people like. Whereas if you want to go with the people's choice for movies, look at the box office receipts. Follow the NSFW movie draft. That's where you see the real people's choice as far as what they want to go see in the movie theaters.
All right, enough talk about freaking award shows. Let's talk about the freaking nominees, because that's what's more interesting. We're going to talk about as many of the categories as we can. Let's start with Best Comedy. Gigi, Almost American, from My Damn Channel and the BBC, is a blending of physical comedy, irreverent humor, and absurd situations. Gigi is a non-English native speaker and doesn't have much street smarts, fashion sense either. But he won't let that stand in the way of his American dream, and it stars Josh Gad.
Have you seen this one before?
Not until it was nominated, no.
Thanks, brother. I don't want to work. I don't want to work. I don't want to work.
Donate! Blood drive today! Come donate for a good cause!
Donate good cause?
Yes! Thank you so much! We appreciate all the help we can get. Come right in.
Okay.
Here you go.
Hi.
Kind of a fat Borat.
Donate.
Oh!
A nicer fat Borat.
Yeah, put that on your billboard. Tom Merritt says you're a fat Borat.
Poor fat. A lot of people know Josh Gad. Some folks out there may recognize the name. He's a pretty funny guy. And My Damn Channel's been around for a while, so they do a lot of different shows. Next nominee is something called Pretty. Again, not one that I was familiar with before, but it is available at prettytheseries.com. And the TV lineup did a review of it. And that's, let's see, what does it say? A mockumentary that spoofs kiddie beauty pageants in its third season of not saving the drama for their mama. The outrageous and sometimes wince-worthy show follows 5-year-old Annette's pageant trajectory, which is piloted by her dad, Michael. To make things weirder, Annette is played by a grown woman, Stacey McQueen.
The stage fright, that's all. But we talked, and we came to an agreement.
Daddy says he'll get me a unicorn.
That's just creepy.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I mean, I haven't seen it, so I can't speak to it. But my default opinion is that the addition of making a fully sexualized adult play the part of a 5-year-old being sexualized it's too twisty in my brain.
Ah, for you, it's too twisty. Some people in the chat room are already saying, I really need to see this. Then third nominee in Best Comedy, of course, the famous The Guild, created and written by Felicia Day. I almost don't even need to play you much of this, but this is one of the recent episodes. This is actually the one they submitted for the award ceremony. ding, 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 and you just hum along. Oh, there we go. This is just the intro to the Guild, but we can.
Have you? How much of the Guild have you watched? How many episodes?
You know, I'm all the way through season 4. They're in season 5, or they've finished season 5, I think. And so I need to catch up on that. I'm not good at keeping up with it when it comes out, sadly, and I really should. It's an awesome show.
I would love to see a breakdown of their distribution platform to see, because I know that their stuff was featured on Xbox, and of course, I assume you could get it on YouTube. I'd love to know where most people consume this, because this is the perfect story for the kind of thing that we love on Frame Rate.
Well, we should get Felicia Day on the show one of these days and just ask her about that. Have her talk about the Guild. Anybody doesn't know, the Guild is based on a guild of people who play an online role-playing game. Maybe very similar to World of Warcraft, but it's never said. And then the adventures of the folks in that guild. Star of the Guild, Jeff Lewis, is actually nominated for his own show, the Jeff Lewis 5-Minute Comedy Hour. Get it? Because it's 5 minutes, but it's not.
Oh yeah, hold on! Don't mock him for having a clever title. There ain't nothing wrong with a clever title, especially if it's a comedy show.
And of course, some of the members of the Guild make some guest appearances.
No. Got cable? No. Sorry. Oh, you know what I do have? Big backyard.
That's great. Super awesome.
Listen, guys, just go out and play.
Play what?
Just play. Just go out and tag. Play tag.
What's tag?
It's tag.
Each episode is a different sketch. So it's not those aren't like regular characters or anything. It's just good sketch comedy. And Jeff Lewis is hilarious, so I like
awesome.
And then the final Best Comedy nominee is Video Game Reunion from GameTrailers.com. I love the concept of this. Well, once great video game heroes of the 1980s gather together for a reunion. Here we go.
That looked expensive.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the thing. That's one of the reasons I want to show this stuff, is it shows off the high production values that folks are doing on the web. You know, sometimes they're funded with deals like through Microsoft, like Felicia Day. Other times they're totally indie, but they're usually not getting the kinds of funds that television gets by any stretch.
That's awesome. That Kid Icarus.
I hope this isn't too spoilery.
This is the beginning of the video right here.
Well, it's the beginning of one of the episodes, which is later on in the series.
I see.
Man, this is what's, you know what? I see what you're saying about as far as like you really get a lot of exposures to titles that you wouldn't have heard of. Yeah, no, this is, I see at least 3 here that I definitely want to check out.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back with some looks at the best drama nominees. This episode of Frame Rate is brought to you by Ford, featuring Sync with My Ford Touch. One of the great features of Sync is Sync Services. Gives you navigation. We recently took a Ford out for a test drive and see how Sync Services looks. Check it out.
Hey, Tom Aaron here. We're going to take off from the Twit Brick House in the 2012 Ford Focus. How are we going to get there? We're going to try out the new Sync navigation features. Okay, so if you plan ahead, you can actually use Google Maps and MapQuest or the mobile app Sync Destinations to plan your destination ahead of time, and it'll be available for you in the car. I didn't plan ahead that well, so I'm going to show you how you do it when you just start off from scratch. Navigation.
Navigation.
460 Kenilworth Drive, Petaluma.
When ready, press the voice button and then say set as destination.
Set as destination.
Setting destination.
Maybe I'm good. All right, let's go.
In 1/10 of a mile, turn right.
See, it just tells me.
Turn right onto Kenilworth Drive.
So we had this weird little U-turn there, but map showed me where to go. Not a problem.
Your destination is ahead on the right.
There it is. Play dog play. Just like it said, destination on the right.
You have arrived at your destination on the right. Route guidance is now finished.
So that's how Ford Sync with My Ford Touch gets you to your destination with integrated turn-by-turn directions, arrows on the screen. You know exactly where you're going. It's available in the 2012 Ford Focus, and you can find out more about these Ford technologies at ford.com/technology. I'm going to pick up my dog now. Hey, buddy.
And of course, the end of the set is an excuse for me to get my dog on the show.
I can see how, like, this is the genius of Tom Mayer. Like, I got to pick up my dog from doggy daycare. Hey, boys, let's film a commercial.
I've got a great idea. And we thank Ford for their support of Frame Rate. Let's look at the nominees for the IAWTV Awards for Best Drama. First up, Aiden 5. It's a series that apparently William Shatner calls impressive and innovative. Produced in the heart of Columbus, Ohio, based on the 48-hour film festival short Aiden 5. No budget, sci-fi web series made solely with an all-volunteer cast and crew. The goal was to create an ambitious series with creativity and determination set in the year 2064. It chronicles the journey of a detective who must unravel the mystery behind the serial killings of his own clones.
Oh, wow.
2061. In a homemade lab deep in the underworld. My 4 sisters were born at exactly the same time as me. The boot-up serum is called Incept 2.0. Infinity owns the only patent, but anything is for sale in the black market. Language, human protocol, and functionality were stamped into the wet clay that was my brain. And just like that, I was.
It says his on the website, but it looks like a her.
Well, no, maybe this is the first set of it.
Yeah, that's good.
They wanted to make more.
Maybe the serial killer killed them all.
Ah, that could be. What I love about it, though, is, you know, it's definitely low budget, but that doesn't mean it looks awful.
Well, and
they made some clever choices to use what they had and make it look good.
This is the sign of a maturing medium, because the easiest stories to tell are the ones that like comedy is the first thing. You actually look at video games, right? You start off, and the hardest thing the easiest thing to do in a video game is make it scary. So you do Doom type things, where everything's gotcha scares. And we saw a lot of that in the early days of web video with screamers, that kind of thing, to get a big reaction out of you with very little cost. Then it's comedy, because comedy you don't need a lot of budget for. All you need to do is have a funny idea, and the shabbier it is, the funnier it becomes. And then you get your homemade successes like your Annoying Oranges and so on. But to have a legitimate category for drama, a drama, when you think of the greatest dramas, you tend to think of the highest production presentation experiences on the big screen. And then recently you start to see great drama on television, and more recently cable television has finally graduated to legitimately awesome dramas. So to start now and see the early outliers for great dramas on web television and new media is really a good sign for the health of the industry.
Anyone But Me is the next nominee. It goes back to 2008. It's been running for a while, and it follows the lives of a group of teenagers in New York City and Westchester County, New York. It centers around a character called Vivian McMillan, a 16-year-old lesbian whose father's illness prompts the two of them to move from Manhattan to Vivian's maternal aunt in Westchester, roughly 30 minutes away.
Seriously? You don't see how this is hypocritical? I'm just saying, before you go around giving people up, why don't you start with yourself?
I don't know what just happened, but somebody just got burned.
Yeah. Now, see, this may not be your cup of tea as far as a type of show, but again, look at the acting, look at the production value. This is as good as anything you're going to see on the CW, and probably better.
Put that on a billboard.
I don't mean to damn with faint praise. I'm just saying these are the kinds of shows that you see on network television, but this one's got more depth, and it's being done independently.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, that this is another thing, because in addition to the internet bringing us a distribution model that allows great content to instantly go global, worldwide, completely viral, we're also in an amazing period where technology has gotten so cheap that it's indistinguishable. The level of quality. I just shot a pilot with Ryan Connolly over at Film Riot where we set up for the shoot, and I looked at all three cameras, and none of them were traditional video cameras of any kind. There were three Canon, like, you know, T2i over here, and I forget all the different names of them. But meanwhile, the output he's going to create is going to look absolutely top notch. And it's an amazing fusion of the right distribution and the right equipment to create it, allowing for extremely high quality performances to come from nowhere. As long as you got talent, you can rise to the top nowadays.
Cell, the web series, Austin, Texas-based science fiction drama web series, debuted in February of 2010. It's about a man who wakes up in a cell after a night on the town, and when he realizes he's not in jail and he's not alone, he fights to stay who he is while helping someone else remember who they were. So it started streaming exclusively on Coldcast TV. It tried to do some YouTube, but YouTube had some restrictions for a while. Now it's expanded to Blip TV and YouTube. It's won some independent television festival awards, some cinema awards. Actually won the Cinema 2 Écran in Geneva, Switzerland. This is the kind of action, sci-fi, drama sort of stuff that I think the audience is into. And yeah, here, now we're getting a chance to take a look at it. It looks pretty good. Ooh, there's a person there.
Time to eat. Where's your plate?
This is kind of. Let's go ahead and skip ahead, Jason, and see if we can get a little more.
This is very mysterious, though.
This is one of those long setup, tense moments.
Well, and this
they
is
don't translate well for a clip.
This is one of those unfair moments where the very nature of drama means a lot of build-up, and of course, you know, there's not a great the fun. We're already laughing at the comedy.
Yeah, and that's just that's the nature of the drama.
Maybe that wasn't the best.
Just have nothing.
That was a third of the way.
Yeah, it's unfair. It's hard. It's probably
just the way that this show is. You know?
I'm sure it's very moving.
A little bit more, slow paced.
All right, let's move on to our next best drama nominee, Pioneer One, which we've talked about on Frame Rate before.
Oh my gosh, yes, I am so stoked about this.
Josh Bernard and Bracy Smith produce it. It's funded purely through donations, and first series created and released on the BitTorrent networks. It's a serialized drama about a spaceship entering Earth's atmosphere, triggering a massive response from the American government. The ship has spread radiation over hundreds of miles of rural Montana, and officials are quick to bring up the possibility of a terrorist attack, specifically the detonation of a dirty bomb. However, the idea is discarded subtly by the leading investigator, asking the rhetorical question, who would launch an attack on Montana? They're nice people.
They even hide something that big?
I don't know. Can I talk to you? Jane says Yuri will be ready to talk when he wakes up. I want you in there to translate if he starts up in Russian.
What about Jane?
She doesn't speak as well as you do. And anyway, I want a second person in the room to confirm what he says.
You don't trust her?
It's not about trust. I just want someone to be there that doesn't share a relationship with the kid.
What about these two?
I don't want them left alone.
Yeah, agreed.
Get the Leo or Vernon to babysit. They're not doing anything anyway.
Now remember, this is entirely donation-funded, independent production, and probably not the best segment that we lucked into there. But there's actually some good special effects, spaceship.
I totally dig the
premise,
and that's what really matters. If you're into the story, then everything else you tend to forgive. I mean, look at how shabby the production of Doctor Who back in the late 70s.
Right.
You know?
the 60s and 70s. It was definitely on par or subpar to that. And finally, Receiver is a transmedia science fiction series created for the internet by producer-director David Van Eysen. Offers an explanation for the exponential growth in science and technology since the late 19th century. The original story on which Receiver was based was written by Van Eysen. He also wrote the first season of Receiver as part of a team. And essentially it follows Sigma agents Luke Weber, played by South African-born Daniel Bonjour, and Sandy Bergson, played by Catherine Krusky, as they investigate and attempt to cover up extraterrestrial encounters in 1973. The agents are also receiver hunters tasked with tracking down individuals who possess valuable information channeled to them by extraterrestrial life forms.
Of everything we've talked about so far, this is the category from what you've shown me so far that has me the most excited. I seriously think I might dive into all of these dramas. Comedies, I saw about half of them I really want to see. This stuff is electric to me.
99 cases out of 100. When somebody reports something like this, it's ball lightning. Sometimes an experimental jet. Every now and then, weather balloons.
I guess it must have been that. Ball lightning, like you said.
That's what it was, Agent Weber. Must have been.
Well, I want to thank the two of you.
You gotta come back for dinner some night. My wife sets one hell of a table.
I might have to take you up on that.
Now look at how 1973 this
No,
looks.
it's perfect. It's perfect. And especially I'm in the middle of reading Stephen King's new book, the one that's the date of Kennedy's assassination. And it's so, I sort of have a new appreciation for so much of the world of our parents that we knew when we were 5 to 15 years old. Like so many of my peers, I wouldn't know how to handle myself in that world. I wouldn't know what to do. I'd be an idiot walking around trying to explore that place. But they capture it so perfectly there.
Yeah, so there you go. That's the best drama category of the IAWTV Awards. We're going to look quickly at some of the best hosted awards in a second here. But first, I want to thank our other sponsor for the show, Netflix. You can get streaming videos on your television, on your console, on your tablet, on your phone, on your desktop. Try it out for free, 30 days, netflix.com/twit. A lot of these shows actually are on Netflix. The Guild is available on Netflix, for instance.
I was going to ask how long until Netflix starts just snapping up all of these.
Oh yeah, they're smart. They've got a lot of these up there. So check them out. Or if you already have Netflix, tell somebody else. Try it for free for 30 days. Netflix.com/twit. We thank them for their support of Frame Rate. So they have a nonfiction category. I think this is the first year for best hosted show because there's so many nonfiction shows out there, so many newsy type shows. They've got best hosted taped, best hosted live, and news, which Tech News Today is nominated for this year. But let's look at some of the best hosted stuff, starting with A Comic Book Orange, hosted by Casey McKinnon, who we've had on Frame Rate before. She's been on NSFW show as well. And
the Haunted Broadsword, Casey McKinnon.
Ed Brubaker is having a historic run on Marvel's Captain America. With artist Brian Hitch, he's about to finish another chapter, bringing back Steve Rogers in the final issue of Captain America Reborn. I mean, it's about 2 months late, but it'll come out. With a little help from me.
It's a 3 or 4 minute weekly comic book web series featuring rapid fire reviews, interviews with top industry creators, and of course, some good funny stuff.
Steve Rogers' assassination.
Casey's wonderful. She's so delightful. We got to have her back on the show, and congratulations for her. I'm way excited. She showed up quite a lot on there.
Also, ETC, Entertainment Technology Culture. I believe this is a machinima.com production. If you know machinima.com, they have a lot of good video shows. And ETC is trying to do sort of your tech culture, talking about comic books, talking about television shows, web television, and just generally the kind of stuff that folks in the Frame Rate audience care about.
Yeah, sure.
We're talking your Sean Andersons, your Hutches, your Sartre, to a lesser extent, your Adam Kovics. Just one small cough, one small sneeze, one small ball grab. Is there anything good on Twitter right now?
Not really.
Okay, I'm going to tell you exactly.
Oh, wait, no, here. This is kind of funny. Look, that's funny.
It's pretty good. That's good. I'm going to tell you exactly how I think this virus came to be.
Justin contracted it through teabagging Ian's desk. He then gave it to Phil via fist bump. And he, through some sort of sexual
This
harassment...
is obviously around the time of Contagion.
After which
Yeah.
Scott, unknowing, head nodded to Lawrence, transmitting it to him. And then Lawrence, as he always does, used the refrigerator as a urinal, transmitting it to every single person in the company. Now, I should probably...
Another best hosted taped is Immersion, which is another Machinima.com show. Or, I'm sorry, no, it's not. It's a Rooster Teeth show. My mistake. And it's
Right
not...
here in Austin.
They're not making it anymore. I hope it comes back. But the episode that they submitted for consideration is fantastic. They're talking about Left 4 Dead. They're talking about first-person shooters. They're talking about all of the guns people use. And so they decide to find out... if these guns actually work in real life the way they work in the game.
Got a bunch of actors to dress up in old clothing and walk around like, but there's only one problem with that.
We can't shoot them.
We can't legally shoot them. So I asked Griffin to come up with some kind of alternative for us. Griffin, what do you got?
Well, I've got these zombie dummies on rolling platforms.
Uh-huh.
The bodies are made out of PVC pipe, paper, tape. The arms are made out of wire.
And I see here we have a nice watermelon for a head.
And for added measure, we went ahead and carved some faces.
Wow. I love it. I love it. It looks both spooky and delicious. And if there's one thing
It's kind of like Mythbusters for video games.
Totally.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
The head, the better they'll be.
I want to see. Can you skip ahead? Can we see how it turns out?
Let's do it. A little bit about your experience with... Oh, we have our zombie horde assembled, and we have our apocalypse.
Wow, they went all out.
Oh, yeah.
Gus, are you ready? Okay. Here they come.
How much fun would that be?
Oh, my gosh. I can't imagine.
Oh, and they made him go for headshots on all of them, too.
Yeah, exactly. And then best hosted taped is what we're looking at still. Next Movie Daily is a kind of a regular look at what's happening in movies. This is not, it's not about web television. It's about movies, but it's a web video look at the movies. And it's from a sort of a geeky perspective.
Headline started off our show. Yeah, probably never. Whitney just snagged her first starring role in 15 years. She's joining American Idol winner Jordan Sparks in a remake of Sparkle. Based on the 1976 musical, the film follows...
Basically goes along with the website nextmovie.com. And then the final nominee in this category is The Web Files, hosted by Kristen Burt. And The Web Files is specifically about web video. They interview folks, talk about the shows, talk about how the shows are made. So if you're interested in getting exposed to a lot of different shows that are on the web, this is a great resource.
We got there just in time for the end of the credits.
Which would occur sometime between 2011 and 2013.
So this is the intro to the show that they're going to be talking about on the episode of The Web Files.
Yeah, so that's one of the weird things is when you're looking at a show that's about other shows. So in this case, if anyone's checking out Frame Rate, they're now watching a show about another show that features other shows.
Exactly.
Unfortunately,
wheels within wheels within wheels.
His vision was. So now he starts to see pieces and fragments start to come back in his memory. So it's like puzzles and mysteries that he's trying to put together. As time goes on, he's trying to figure it out.
How long have you been working on Tyranny?
It started mainly back in 1998. I saw the movie The Game in 1997, and then I went on a trip to Prague with my...
So Tyranny is the show that they're talking about here, which is a drama that you could also investigate. All right, best hosted live, Callie Lewis, another person.
Friend of mine, the fabulous Callie Lewis. I was up at the Livid Lobster Studios just last week.
Yeah, she is she's our first nominee we're talking about for Best Hosted Live Series for Geek Beat Live, geekbeat.tv, also Revision 3. Geek Beat, I mean, if you've seen Geek Beat, you know it's a fun show about gadgets, and it's just the happiest gadget show on the web.
I'll tell you what, this is also a weird crossover kind of thing, because in addition to seeing a lot of television content show up on the web, we're starting to see the reverse. Geek Beat is one of a number of shows that's now showing up on the new YouTube network, YOUTOO. The gimmick for that network is they have people using an app record 15-second responses, or they call them fame spots, to basically throw content up on the screen. And so half the content you're watching is pre-produced, like Geek Beat, and they take old Dig Nation episodes and chop them up. Full disclosure, I host the fame spot part of the Dig Nation thing. But it's interesting to see that that it goes both ways, both web content showing up on television in addition to television content showing up on the web.
And that, don't want to sell Callie short. It's all kinds of technology. I say gadgets because that's, one of the things that she likes to do the most. But she gets all of technology covered, and she's really passionate about it. Our next one is Indie Intertube, which has been running for quite a long time. It's every Wednesday, 4 p.m. Pacific to 6 p.m., and it's dedicated to independent internet television and web content. So it's a nice live talk show that features different interviews. And again, another way to expose yourself to cool web television series that you might not know about.
Next Saturday?
Yeah.
9 to 3.
It was funness. It really was.
We should probably skip into maybe one later in the show, because like a lot of live shows here on Twit, they start with a lot of banter and getting ready, getting into the show.
Getting ready to get ready.
Yep.
Low level too.
So here they've got the cast on and doing kind of a group interview. That's cool.
And they are still a little hesitant to make a big risk jump, whereas in a web
Doesn't go any louder than that.
The next one is Kevin Pollak's Chat Show, weekly interview program hosted by the comedian and impressionist. You might have heard of Kevin Pollak. It's hosted over Ustream, airs live every Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific from Mahalo's studios, mahalo.com in Santa Monica. And he gets some pretty high-level guests. You see in the intro, he's got Felicia Day. He's got some other like L.A. stars, because he records it down in Santa Monica, so he has access to those people. And it's fun. It's actually a really funny show.
It's interesting to me to see stuff like this, where it's like there's a lot that the internet can do through Skype. We can have guests from all over the world. My co-host on NSFW, I think maybe 4 episodes we've been in the same room. The rest of them we've always Skyped in together. But for all that, there's an irreplaceable commodity to having all of your performers live within 100 miles of your studio. And I think that it's a massive benefit to someone like Kevin Pollak, who's connected and a genuine celebrity and able to pick up the phone and get all these interesting people right there in studio with him.
Stupid for Movies at stupidformovies.com is hosted by LA Film Critic Association member Mark Kaiser and Wade Major, and it's a live weekly look at the best and worst in movies. So again, not about web television, but a web show that can introduce you to a lot of aspects of the movie industry you might not have been aware of. They do a buy, rent, or burn recommendation on DVDs, for instance, and just a good live show Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific.
Dorks who know what they're talking about. And on December 12th, Wade and I and the other 46 members of the LA Film Critics Association will be voting on our year-end awards.
Is that what you call it?
Yes.
It's chaos, you know.
It's chaos. It's Best Actor, Best Picture, Best Director, the whole thing.
It's like 4 dozen people sitting in a room, total chaos for 4.5 hours until somehow we emerge with winners.
So what will happen between now and December 12th is that Wade and I will probably, and I'm not kidding, we will watch between now and December 12th probably 30 movies.
I've got on my list of must-see films that are all effectively in contention, one of which I knocked off this afternoon, so I think I'm down to about 24.
24.
Yeah.
And then finally, what's trending with Shira Lazar in the Best Hosted Live? You've probably heard about this because of the fact that she was on CBS, and then there was the Twitter incident, and then now she's off CBS, but she's still doing the show independently. It's 2 celebrity panelists discussing news that's currently trending or has been during the week, and she gets some big-name guests. She's had will.i.am, Mark Cuban, Stan Lee, Drew Carey, Greg Grunberg, which, NSFW show also gets Greg Grunberg.
Okay, hold on. Don't disparage my little show, NSFW.
Why do you got to take that as disparagement? I was putting you in the same category.
That's right. We've had him on 3 times, I'll have you know.
Yeah.
In all caps trended this past Saturday night and through Sunday as people posted messages to Jamie and comments about cyberbullying and intolerance. The phrase and hashtag Occupy Wall Street received over 120,000 social mentions last Saturday alone, as hundreds of protesters marched through the streets of Lower Manhattan. The demonstrators were and still are opposing what they see as the corporate greed of Wall Street. Although the Occupy Wall Street protest was smaller in numbers.
So we're running out of time, Brian. There's a ton of other categories here. If you go to IAWTV.org, you can find all the nominees. There's Best Animated, Best Documentary, Best Variety, Best Educational, Best News, as we mentioned, Best Writing for drama, comedy, and nonfiction. There's Directing Awards. There's Performance Awards for individual actors, Hosting Awards, Design, Costume Design, Special Effects, like, you know, all the sorts of things that you would expect. But then also some web-specific things like Interactive Social Media Experience, Best Website Design, and Best Distribution Platform.
Yeah, again, it's like, it is so neat to see the emerging space of a brand new category of storytelling, and to watch as we figure out what we care about in them. I think in general, the categories, they got them right. I can't think of any major category that I would have liked to have seen, except for it's like maybe best show hosted by somebody who has ridiculous video game styled spiky hairdo. I think this is the only category I was looking for.
No, you know what? I think you're right. I think I'll submit this. I'm a member, so I can submit that for consideration next year.
Along with your suggestion for best show hosted by a guy with a dashing beard.
Yeah, I'm not going to win that. There's too many. It's too many out there. It'll probably go to IAS.
So we obviously have not had a lot of time since the last episode for feedback, but I did find one email that showed up to us. I know we got to wrap up here real quick, but since this whole episode we've been talking about stuff you guys got to try, Brian Servin sent us 3 days ago, "Hey guys, just wanted to send a quick note to you about Black Mirror. You have to watch it. There have been several failed attempts at modernizing Twilight Zone, but this miniseries wholly embodies the dystopian quasi-future that Mr. Serling envisioned in much of his work. It's a shame that there's only 3 episodes."
Oh, that's cool. I want to check that out. Nicely done. Thank you, Brian. Brian Servin, and thank you for reading it, Brian Brushwood.
Yeah, no thanks to you, Brushwood.
Why is everything I say today, you're like, oh, insulting me again, Merritt?
No, it's because this is an unusual gift. We're giving them the gift of awkwardness.
Yes, a gift that keeps on giving, I have to say.
Right.
Yeah. All right, that's it for Frame Rate for 2011. Brian, any words before we head into the Mayan doomed year of 2012?
You know what? I've always harbored this bizarre theory that what if, 2012 won't be the year that the world ends? It'll just be the year I end. And maybe that's why I'm hearing all this talk, is because I'm going to die this year.
I hope you. That's horribly morbid. I hope you don't die this year.
So you're saying I hope I survived the accident, but I'm paralyzed. Put that on.
No. I hope you have no accident at all. I don't want you to be paralyzed or hurt in any way.
All right. Hey, if you want to describe how you think Brian should go out, send us an email to framerateshow@gmail.com.
No, I hope you die painlessly in your sleep, Brian. Not this year.
Why would you say that?
I mean eventually. Like,
I'm going to call Greg Grunberg right now. I'm out of here. This is done.
framerateshow@gmail.com. We'll see you in the new year, January 3rd. Have a happy one.